Hello everyone, this is episode 8 of my PlayStation collection, and we are continuing with the PS1 and with a classic game, Forsaken. This is originally a PC game, I think, or at least it was most popular on the PC. It's basically you play as like a drone or something, and then you go through different stages, shoot enemies. There is a bunch of 3D environments you go through. There is absolute control, it says it on the back, absolute control in 360. So it's pretty unique. I think even for this day, there aren't that many games like this. And of course, it was more popular on the PC. There is an iconic box cover for the game with the women and the tattoo on her face. And it's a really popular game, I think. And it's a classic game that a lot of people think back and consider it a classic. And of course, another classic is Gex Deep Cover Gecko. Now, Gex is the sort of mascot platformer kind of game that was really popular at the time, and a lot of different companies they try to be the next Mario. So there is Gex, there is Croc, there is Crash Bandicoot, Spyro. Gex is one of those that after this game and maybe after a couple more tries, just basically disappeared. Gex is this wisecracking sort of how do you say this wisecracking character that impersonates and parodies a lot of different movies, and there is a lot of movie spoofs there. Basically, this game is about this. If you can, as you can see it, it's a James Bond parody. They go as far as that you can see like Agent Extra, and she's played by real life actress, and there is a ton of different. Baywatch is Marlise Andrada is the one who plays Agent Extra, and you go through different scenarios, different movies, and then Gex is basically says a lot of outdated movie and TV show references and celebrity references. Win one of 10 Psion Revos. What the hell is a Psion Revo? Oh, it's a... okay, it's a Palm PC from the end of the 90s. Well, every kid who plays Gex probably wants to get a Psion Revo. This is gonna be the hot one for the Christmas. 2000 October 31 is the closing date. Wow. I mean, just alright. There is this nice manual. It's about like all the TVs in the game, and then there is the game itself, which is, weird enough, it's a value series game, which is the platinum equivalent for the UK. So this is a UK release, and with this as a UK release, the voice actor for Gex is actually a guy called, I forget his name, Danny John Jules, who is from Red Dwarf, which is like a British comedy TV show. But in the US, it has a completely different voice actor. So that's pretty fun. That's interesting. Plus, the movie references in the English version is for like English audiences, and then for the US version is for like Americans. So it's more like talking about how you are not allowed to drink tap water from Jerry Garcia's house, and it's just really outdated references. If you ask anyone what's the most iconic PlayStation series or PlayStation game series, a lot of people are going to say like God of War, Ratchet and Clank, Uncharted, but actually the oldest one that is still ongoing and they are still pumping out games is Gran Turismo, and for a good reason. Polyphony Digital has been doing these games for, wow, for almost 30 years now, and I think there is a good reason, because even those who are like enthusiastic about PCs and wheels, they also, a lot of people like consider Gran Turismo like the biggest and best simulator franchise, starting with this one, the first one, and for something that is basically the first ever simulation game that this company Polyphony Digital created, it is really impressive. The physics, the cars, even the selection of cars is huge, even the selection of stages and challenges, and just the insane customizable parts, and also all the replayability is huge. You can see it's like a commercial for the analog controller. There is a huge booklet for the game, and then of course there is the Gran Turismo game. And then for the second game, I think Polyphony Digital really outdid themselves, because as for a sequel that came out just like I think 2 years later, so this says 1999, and this is gonna be 97, 98. So maybe just 2 years after it, there is a ton of new stuff. There is over 600 cars in there, and of course the game became so huge that it became a 2-disc game. So the first one has the arcade mode, which is basically the driving stuff and versus races, and that's the normal mode. And there is the GT mode, which is the career mode of the game. You can see that they even give you a big manual. It's not as big as the other ones. It's in Italian, but the game itself is in English, so that's fine. And there is a strategy guide. So how you can beat the game, how you can be better, how you can customize your car, different engine types and whatnot. It's a bit dry for someone who is casual about the game, but it's still pretty fun and pretty interesting to look at. And one other thing that not a lot of people know about this, but if you have an original non-platinum copy of the game, the second disc is scratch and sniff. So if you scratch in, you can actually smell like burning rubber from this one. It has a different coating, and I think there is another one for the PS1. I think it's like FIFA 99 or 2000, that if you scratch that, then you're going to smell the grass or the turf from a football field. This one is burning rubber smell, and I can still smell it after 20 something years. Probably not a lot of people notice this, but I think it's really fun. And if we are talking about games with the letter G, and we are going to talk about the PS1, we cannot really talk about anything else than GTA. I mean, what is there to say about the GTA series? It's probably one, if not the biggest game series or well-known series in the world. There is a lot of games, although in the last, 12 years, we only had one game, GTA 5, basically. But, GTA 6 is coming. It's gonna be interesting. I'm really excited about that, but I'm not the biggest fan of GTA. But yeah, this is where it all started, and you can see that it is a top-down game. You can see that it's totally different, and the PS1 also has, I think, 2 more GTA games. That is GTA 2, and then they have the London one, which I don't really know anything about it. But yeah, even back in the day, parental advisory with the explicit content rated. I think this was more like marketing than anything. So if you open this up, you can see the paper insert. There's the manual, different languages, and then this is just a platinum game with GTA on there. But yeah, you can see the original box art for the game. And yeah, this is where it all started. Fun fact, this game has, basically when it loads into the PlayStation, you can just remove the disc, you can open up the console, and you can put any CD, and you can play the soundtrack from there. And you can just listen to any music while playing the game. Something that I noticed is Take-Two's old logo. I mean, it changed a lot since then. And it doesn't say Rockstar Games anywhere on the box, because it was basically, Rockstar Games wasn't really a thing back then, and it was published and developed by Take-Two Interactive. A Ubisoft exclusive, kinda, game. It's Grandia for the PS1. Published by Ubisoft and by... Oh, it's falling apart. It's actually a 2-disc game. Wow, look at that. But yeah, Grandia is a big classic RPG. The legendary role-playing game. I think it was on Super Nintendo, probably, something like that. And then it got a port on the PS1. I don't really know much about this game. I'm not really into old RPGs. But yeah, this one's also a classic. And if we want to talk about classic games, this is Gunfighter, The Legend of Jesse James, published by Ubisoft and made by Rebellion. Rebellion is making, I think they are the ones who are making the Sniper Elite games nowadays. And you know, this game is really fun. I have to say, it's light gun compatible, so you can play it with the light gun. And as you can see, there is like a Wild West themed 5 different scenarios. It looks a bit crunchy when you are playing through it, but the music is actually fantastic. It's like something out of Ennio Morricone, not Ennio Morricone movie, but it's like a movies made by like the Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. It has the similar feeling like that. It's like great Western music stuff. There is a lot of good stuff, and I think the light gun modes are pretty good. You can see like different characters from the game, and then this is the disc. Actually, it is using a bunch of different light guns, but I think it will use this one. I already talked about this. This is the Namco Guncom. It's actually probably the go-to light gun if you want to use one on the PS1. It's nice to handle, nice to use. This is like the reload button there. It's not very complicated, to be honest. It only has basically the trigger and then 2 more buttons, but it's actually have some heft to it. It's still like a pretty light gun, but it's rather accurate, and it uses a bunch of Namco games. Like we already talked about, like the Gun Ballerina games and all the other ones. I think it uses like Time Crisis also. It's officially licensed, and the one thing I really find it interesting about it, it uses a different technology than the other ones. So it has like the normal plug that you can plug into the PS1, but then on the other end it has this like jack adapter. So basically this goes into the TV on the back. This one goes into this is where the PlayStation's video goes, and then the whole thing ends here. So it doesn't need a camera, or it doesn't work like the light gun on the NES. It's a bit more sophisticated than those ones, and it's actually pretty damn accurate. Yeah, so these are my childhood, basically, these games. Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, called Sorcerer's Stone in the US, and the other one is the Chamber of Secrets. So there is 2 Harry Potter games on the PS1. They are considered to be really good selling and successful games on the system. It's a bit janky. It's a bit hard to control sometimes, but I found them really, really fun. And actually the first game was my first PlayStation 1 game ever, and I played it to death. Put so much hours into the game. I can just close my eyes and basically go through the different scenarios. But I really wanna replay it, because every few years I try to replay it, and it's still fun. It's still something where I feel nostalgic about it. And yeah, this is like the one where you can see that this is where the memes came from, like the big PS1 Hagrid and all the other ones. But yeah, it was bundled with my PlayStation 1, and this was actually my first ever game I ever played on the PS1. And then there is the sequel, which came 1 year later, and I think it's like 1 year later. This is 2001. I think this is 2002, yeah. So pretty quickly they threw together the game to coincide with the second movie. This one's not that good, although they found some new stuff there. There are some new scenarios and new mini games, but yeah, this is a more hastily put together one. Although I think both of them is really good, and I'm gonna talk a lot more about the Harry Potter games on the PS2 when I get to presenting my PlayStation 2 games, because I have all of the Harry Potter ones, and there are some interesting stories about these on the PlayStation 2 as well. So these are the games I talked about today. I think if I have to recommend one, I mean, geez, these are really good games. Every single one of them is really good. I hope that the next batch has some weird and quirky ones. But you can see the Harry Potter games are good. Gunfighter, The Legend of Jesse James is still a pretty fun light gun game. And then, GTA, Gran Turismo, even Gex, like, what can you say about it? And, thanks for watching, and see you next time.